View Podcast, Episode 1. We're The Last of Us, Part 2. Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about different... So come on in and join the conversation if what we're talking about interests you. We're going to have episodes as it's relevant to do so. Tonight I've got with me my two co-hosts, Crimson Waters. Crimson, you want to go ahead and plug your socials?
What's up? You can find me here on Some Salty Gamers Official on YouTube. We've got Kittykins there on YouTube. You can also find me on Crimson Waters for Twitch. And you can find me at Dodetsuke for any of the three main social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Okay, cool. And you have played Part 1 of The Last of Us, and you're almost done with Part 2. You're in the process of beating it as we speak. You're on the very end of it.
I finished Part 2.
Oh, you did finish while we were talking?
Just got the last bit of dialogue. Yeah.
Cool. All right. My other co-host here is Guts, good friend of mine. He's in my clan on Destiny 2. Guts, you want to say anything?
Hi, Guts8690. I'm just here for the fun.
And Guts hasn't played Part 1 or Part 2, but he's a good guy and can offer up some good opinions and discussion on things. And you said you watched some video on it, right?
Opinion.
Yeah, the outsider's take. Okay. So the first thing, I guess I'll direct this question at Crimson, and then I'll say my feelings on it since we can't really ask you this. Crimson, so what did you think? Did you like it or did you hate it overall?
I'm kind of in the middle with it. And one point is the gameplay is really great. I enjoyed the feel of the game. I did not completely enjoy the very empty atmosphere of it for Ellie's part of it, and then Abby's part felt way too saturated in a lot of the flashbacks for Abby. It's just overstayed its welcome. So I'm kind of in the middle. Part of the game I enjoyed, and part of the game I really wasn't feeling that much.
Okay. You want to say anything else about it? Like anything more? How'd you like the graphics? How did you like the actual gunplay?
The gunplay was fine. The graphics are pretty glitchy at some points, especially when you're doing like the platforming sessions or the quote-unquote puzzle sections, where you had to jump from point A to point B, or had to climb, or this, that, and the third. Sometimes the textures would pop, or you'd fall through. I fell through a world a couple times.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. I didn't have any kind of issues like that. Are you on a PlayStation 4 Pro or an original, or?
I'm on the Pro.
Okay. I wonder if that made any difference.
You'd think the Pro would run smoother.
You would think, but I've had a friend who's had problems with overheat in the Spire Stars boss fight. When we would do all the hunters with their supers trying to kill him with that method, it would like actually overheat his console. Something to do with the graphical settings, the way he had it set and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I liked it. I didn't have any problems with it at all. The only criticism that I've heard that I could kind of get on board with is that they could have, it may have been better if they would have done this, and may not have. They could have restructured the chapters so that instead of, and this is spoilers, obviously we're talking about it, so anybody watching, if you haven't beaten it yet, you're gonna get the story spoiled for you. How you play half the game as Ellie with only that little bit as Abby in the very beginning, and then you switch over to the other half of the game as Abby. If they would have maybe done like a chapter as Ellie, chapter as Abby, chapter as Ellie, chapter as Abby, or even reversed it where you played as Abby first and then Ellie, I think that might have changed the game for some people on how they felt about it. But once you see what Abby did, and then you want to see the resolution of it, and then you just start playing as Abby the whole second half, right when you think it's going to come to a head. I think that's part of what left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths.
I've read an article on that recently.
Hmm.
Actually today as I was playing the game about why they chose to introduce Abby in the beginning of the game, and the article read that they wanted Abby a horrible thing. This way, they could later try and make you feel sympathetic towards her actions.
Hmm.
And the whole premise of the introduction of Abby was to make the game feel overall empathetic and to have empathy on both sides, both for Ellie and for Abby.
So how did that work out for you? Did you feel like when you got to the end part when Ellie and Abby are fighting, did you want to kill Abby? Did you feel like any hesitation?
Bro, when I saw her shoot Joel, she needed to die on the spot. I was kind of mad.
But I mean, when you're at the end, actually doing the
Understandable.
fight, after playing for hours as Abby, you didn't feel any hesitation in the final fight of the game?
No, I didn't
No?
like Abby as a character.
Okay.
Um, she
Now,
was
did you
too.
just not like her, or did you dislike her because she killed Joel?
Well,
Because, like, the
her
videos I
killing
did
Joel,
watch about it, everyone's opinion on why they hate her is 100% she killed Joel, fuck that bitch. And it's like, damn.
her
Like,
killing Joel wasn't the
damn.
reason why I didn't like her though. I didn't like her because I don't know, she felt forced as a human being. Like she went on this fucking revenge quest just like Ellie did. Got what she wanted and then had this whole change of heart throughout the game, throughout the course of her section of the game. Now she wants to protect people and shit, and she's feeling sympathetic for people she's been killing for years. No, fuck that. You're a
In a s-
cold-blooded murderer. You're always gonna be a cold-blooded murderer. Like,
See, what some people are saying, and I kind of get on board with, is so was Joel. Joel and Tommy were hunters and killed a lot of people in the years between when, the world ended, basically, with the apocalypse, and when he meets up with Ellie. Prior to meeting Ellie and finally, bonding with her and getting her to the Fireflies and everything at the end of part one, he was a pretty nasty person. He was pretty bad.
but
If you
Joel didn't
remember,
hesitate to kill people. Still, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
but
that's where
once he,
I have an issue where,
but
where he
once
died because. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But once he bonded with Ellie, and they got to Jackson and everything at the end of the first game, and we're kind of assuming it's kind of
Oh,
assumed
you
in the
did
year.
just.
Am I better
Your
now?
voice digitaled out.
Am I better now?
Yeah, you might want to
Okay.
repeat what you said. Yeah, you're good.
Well, once they got to the end of the first one, he got to Jackson with Ellie, and then they went to, into kind of like, okay, now we're safe. We have a place to call home. We're making a life. He's teaching Ellie to play guitar. They're going out on patrols and they're bringing survivors in to Jackson to live. If you pick up the little pieces of paper, like the little collectibles, and you read them and you listen to the little dialogue and everything, it's kind of assumed that they've been out doing that. That it's kind of, he's gotten a little soft to some degree. They've gotten used to having a place to call home. He's kind of turned a corner as a character.
Yeah, but his girl died. His little girl died. You know, the game switches to 20 years later when the world is in disarray, and
Hmm.
you kind of have to do what you have to survive at that point. And even then, his character didn't really change that much through the first game. In the second game, a lot of people are upset, including me, that he's just like, "Oh, hey, I saved her from some clickers. I trust you guys immediately." That's just not Joel's character.
See, I don't. I think you're trying to. You got to remember, it's 4 years after the first game too. Like I said, and they're living in Jackson. They've gotten used to bringing outsiders in. Maybe he wouldn't have been super trusting if he met Abby under different circumstances. But the fact that they just fought side by side, and survived against all those infected. you know, and then she's like, I have a place we can go, you know. They go in there. They didn't exactly drop their guard 100%, but once they were surrounded like that, you know, once they walked in that room and they're like, okay, shit, we're surrounded. Even if they didn't offer up their names, she kind of knew who he was at that point. And once she pulled that shotgun out, shot him in the knee, it was a wrap. Like it was done deal. Especially once Tommy got taken out, there was nothing he could do. No matter how badass he is, you know what I mean? Your knee is shattered like that.
When you look at the flashbacks, he's always telling Ellie to err on the side of caution.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting that he would just enter a room full of people. I don't care what recruitment method you use. When you enter a lodge full of people who are surrounding you,
Yeah.
like, get the fuck out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't sit there and ask them for shit.
Even if he had pulled his gun out at that point, though, he might have gotten one or two of them. Chances of getting all of them, you know what I mean? Like, we've seen...
In fact, he kind of more of accepted his fate at that point versus trying to say, fuck it, I'm going to fight to the end.
Well, he just said, you know, y'all act like you've heard of us, and boom, his knee was shattered. Like, it all happened that fast. There really wasn't time for him to react or do anything, in my opinion. I mean, we could debate it all day long, that part of the game. Yeah. Did you watch the Kind of Funny Games spoiler cast with Neil Druckmann, Ashley Johnson, and Troy Baker, the actors that play Ellie and Joel, and the game director?
I didn't get the chance to. I was trying to rush through the game.
They talked about that well, that was one of the many scenes they talked about, and Troy Baker, the guy that plays Joel, he said he went back and forth with it, with the game director Neil Druckmann, and they threw ideas back and forth at each other, and he said he feels like that's an authentic experience, like that's completely believable that would have happened or could have happened, that wasn't... It didn't feel forced. It wasn't a rushed idea to do it that way. That there was a lot of agonizing debate about whether or not, you know, how they were going to do it. It wasn't like some people are saying, oh, they just kind of like threw this together. It's thoughtless. They didn't put much effort into how they killed him. You know, and
I don't think it was thoughtless. I mean, like, well, here's the thing. Players were expecting a sequel. And obviously Joel was going to die in it. I sort of expected that after the first game, period. You know, the game does a real good job of showing that your actions have repercussions. Thing is, you don't really get to play a lot of the game as Joel and Ellie, which is what people were expecting. It's not that his death was forced or whatever. It's just, it happened so early in the game, you don't get time to feel sympathetic for him dying, so to speak, because you don't experience any of the game early on as Joel and Ellie, which makes it sort of unrealistic. They just find themselves in that situation and it happens, and in that case it does feel kind of forced.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
I suppose. A lot of people though are like having problems with just the way he got killed. You know, some people are even saying, I've seen I watched a bunch of different reviews. Some people were complaining that it's a big muscular woman beaten to death a muscular man that represents like the action hero from days gone by. Like, there's so many different people that are taking so many different viewpoints on this. You know?
Well, it makes sense. He got his knee shot out. How the hell was he supposed to fight back?
Yeah.
He's supposed to do? Hop up on one leg and swing at air? The fuck is he supposed to do?
Uh-huh. And the fact that she's so ripped too is explained in the fact that her father got killed when she was just a kid, when she was Ellie's age from like the first game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was in the hospital with what is her name?
Marlene?
Marlene, thank you. She was in the hospital with Marlene, and she overheard the fact that, you know, Ellie was going to get operated on and it was going to cost her life to find the cure. And she even said, you know, if it were me, I would give my life to do it. I would want you to do it, Dad. I would want you to, you know, do the operation even though it meant I was going to die so you could find the cure for humanity. And then here Joel comes in, rescues Ellie, you know, kills her father. She spends her whole life planning from that point forward, you know, planning, I'm going to get this guy and make him pay for, you know, killing my dad, you know, costing humanity the cure, killing all of her friends that she knew at that point. Because she was a Firefly. She probably believed in it wholeheartedly, you know. She was the father of, like, arguably the head Firefly. You know?
Besides that one cutscene where she's in a room with her dad and Marlene, there is no indication that she was on this revenge quest because the cure was taken away for humanity.
Even the parts I saw, it was all, you killed my daddy, now die.
I mean, yeah, that's at the forefront of her motivation, but you see hints of it when she's talking to Owen about the Fireflies and everything, and then at the end, in the last chapter before the final fight with Ellie, when she she's like going to the last place that Owen had found that they had heard about where there might be the last of the Fireflies, and she finds this little hideout and everything, and she gets on the radio, and she actually, after 4 or 5 attempts, gets in contact with some Fireflies, and their whole plan is to go and link back up with them and try to continue with what they stood for, you know, look for the light and find a cure and rebuild humanity and all that stuff. And that's when she gets captured by those, what were they called? Snakes or cobras or something? I don't remember what the name of that faction was. But that's when then she gets captured and she spends months in their little jail and working for them before Ellie finds her. And she's hanging on a pole. So that's the little pieces like that, and the fact that, okay, she got her revenge by killing Joel, right? But then she loses all of her friends, including the man she loved, and his pregnant girl, which is kind of a, you know, love triangle. You could say what you want about it, you know, how you feel about it, but regardless, it's
messy.
the man. Yeah, it's messy, but she loved him. You know, she kept denying herself that love, but she did love him, and that was all of her friends got killed too. And then she ends up getting caught by these people and jailed and hung to a pole, and then she let Ellie go twice. Like, she let Ellie and Tommy live when she killed Joel. She didn't have to do that. You know, she killed the person she wanted to kill for revenge. She didn't kill anybody else as collateral damage. Then when she got to Ellie at the theater the second time, she could have killed her there, and she didn't. You know, and she didn't kill Dina either.
Kill her because of Zev. That's it.
Yeah, Lev, like, when Lev said what he said, you know, it kind of made her stop and think and look at what she was doing, and she didn't want to be that person anymore in front of Lev. She said, you know, now I have Lev to take care of. Now I have Lev to show a better way to, you know, and to not do that anymore. Like, that's how I think what was going through her mind. And we could debate it all day. We don't know for sure, you know. But I've been talking for a little while. Go ahead and go ahead and say some stuff if you want about what I said, or anything else you want to switch the subject to.
Fucking Abby. I'm sorry. She's not a great character. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You can't be mad. Oh, you killed my friends. Like, you killed my dad figure. I gave them a chance to live. I gave all of them a fucking chance to live, and they chose to fucking protect you. That's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's true throughout the entire game. All she said is, I want to know where Abby is. I don't want this to go. And even when she met the girl in the hospital. What's her name? Nora. She was like, oh, I don't want to have to fight. I don't want to kill you. I just need information on where Abby is.
From the parts of Abby I saw, she did need more character development. Not just, like I said before, you killed my daddy, prepare to die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was like the main part of what I've seen in like the reviews I watched. That's everyone's consensus is that's all she is you killed my daddy, prepare to die.
But that's all Ellie was this entire game, basically. Even when she found out that
I was about to say.
No, but it's okay.
She found out,
Good.
what's her name? Dina was pregnant. At that point, there was that moment where she admitted it, and then like Ellie was like, "You're a liability," and then she like stepped off, and you had that whole guitar scene, which was pretty good. But at that point, what's more important, taking this pregnant woman home who's quote unquote a liability, or exacting your revenge? And what did Ellie choose? Same exact motivation Abby had, except it didn't last for 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some very similar things. In the end, both of them went on their mission of revenge, and both of them, it cost them so much. Virtually everything. In Ellie's case, I mean, Abby got a pretty rough deal too, but I mean, Ellie, she can't even play the freaking guitar anymore. She can't play the guitar. She lost Joel. She lost Dina. She lost... Well, she didn't lose Joel as part of her revenge quest. I mean, that happened, obviously, before that. But who knows how her and Tommy left things off. They weren't...
That's a
we
good
don't even
question.
know...
How did Tommy and Ellie leave things off?
Well, he came back, you saw it.
Yeah, he
you
came
saw
back
the whole
to the
thing,
farm.
Right? Yeah, he came back to the farm, and he was disfigured and everything. It even cost him some things,
And his marriage, basically, too.
He lost his marriage from it too, exactly. So she has to ask herself, was it worth it? And I think she realized at the last minute that she just felt like it wasn't worth it, and that's why she ultimately let Abby live. But people agree or disagree whether that was the right thing to do or not. At that point, I don't know. It's tough to say what was the right thing to do, but I
don't think there was a right.
I feel like they were both justified.
I think it was kind of the right thing to do.
I feel like they were both justified in their motivation. That's the thing. I found myself in the final fight, fighting as Ellie against Abby, and I'm like, I don't want to kill Abby. I didn't want her to die. It was conflicted. It says like press square to go up and like hit her harder, and I don't press square, and I'm like just waiting to see what'll happen. Maybe I don't have to kill her.
We need to kill her. She needs to die. She doesn't deserve to exist in this universe. I'm sorry.
Well,
so one-dimensional. Single-minded, man. I couldn't with the writing, man, of this game. It just... The story definitely needed some more time to be worked on or something. Maybe they should have went with their original ideas, because there's mental changes.
Go ahead, Guts. You were gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, like, from not playing it standpoint and not having that love of Joel and Abby or Ellie from the first game, I can see both sides of y'all's argument. Where if you just see the clips from the second one, like I did, like Infamous said, she was justified for what she did, even if you didn't agree with her. But so was Ellie at that point. But like I said, I don't have the love of these two characters from one.
That's
I will admit, I get attached to characters where if I had played one and then played two, I would probably side with Crimson. Like, this bitch must be destroyed because you took away my characters. To relate it to a different game, if they brought in an enemy in Destiny that, the whole Aldrin killing Kay thing. Fuck Aldrin for all eternity. I don't care if he's back. I will kill him again because fuck that dude.
Yeah.
But someone who never got to know Kane might be like, well, they were enemies, big deal.
Well, Aldrin was kind of tainted by the darkness, so I don't know if that's like a fair comparison.
Well, let's not get too sidetracked on Destiny.
Yeah, we could go on to Destiny forever.
Yeah, we spin off on that, then we'll get lost. Did you play it spoiler-free, Crimson?
I absolutely did.
So you didn't see any of the leaks, you didn't watch any reviews?
I didn't watch any of the leaks, I didn't watch reviews, I didn't read anything.
Okay.
I wanted the game to be fresh and foreboding experience.
I didn't watch any reviews or see any of the leaks either.
The only thing I seen was the initial trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where she was playing the guitar, and that's it.
Now, when y'all get a second, I want to ask one.
Okay, let me.
Because like, okay, go ahead.
Let me just elaborate on this one a little more. So, I have a buddy of mine, Joe, who was gonna be a guest on tonight's episode, but couldn't make it because he has to work. He refused. He loved the first game, loved it, absolutely loved it, and liked the multiplayer so much that he still plays it, and I play it with him every once in a great while. He'll play it a couple times a week sometimes. Part of the reason he didn't want to buy Part 2 was because there was no multiplayer. That bothered him a lot. And then he saw the leaks, he read the leaks, watched a few early reviews, and refuses to buy it because of all the hate that it's getting. What's your opinion? And I'll ask you first, Crimson, since you played it, and then Guts, if you have something to offer, go for it. Do you think that he's justified in not buying it, or do you think if he bought it, there would still be some kind of an enjoyment to get out of it as what from, or do you think he's wise to stay away? Like, are you glad you didn't spoil it for yourself and you bought it anyway? Are you going to play through it a second time, Crimson? Like,
100% glad I bought it.
Okay.
100% glad I bought it. I do have my quirks with the game. I don't really like Abby that much as a character. I do like the very slow pace of the game, and I sort of do like how the story is told. I think they should have did a compare and contrast type of game where you do day one as Ellie and then day one as Abby in Seattle. This way you get more of a comparison of what they're going through, but overall I think it's a quality experience. And if you... Oh, it's like this. We all love Destiny here, right? If we didn't buy Destiny and watch all of the leaks and review for year one Destiny, and we just spoiled ourselves and heard all of this
I'm never buying this fucking game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't buy it. See, you don't do yourself justice by listening to reviews because everybody has their own opinion, especially when you're hardcore fans of a series. You're not going to like the second game or even the third game.
They had set the bar so high with the first one, it was going to be hard to ever get close to it. Go ahead.
Well, I don't even know that. I think The Last of Us was the sequel could have been a whole lot better had they again took a little bit more time to introduce the new characters. The Last of Us Part 2, you don't skip 4 years ahead, give us more time with Joel and Ellie, and then come out with an actual Last of Us 2. And I felt like that would have been a better format. Because then you would have had the introduction to Abby and who her dad was and everything, and how Joel's actions rallied up the WLF and everything. I felt like there was a structure that they could have had to make it better and to further progress the story without losing the initial aspect or feel of the first game. But yeah, so spoilers. You spoil the game for yourself. I think you're going to go in there kind of like, I don't want to buy it. I don't want this game. People think it's crap, blah, blah, blah. That's because that's what you're seeing, and it's the predominant thing that's being propagated when it comes to The Last of Us Part 2.
See, I'll tend to agree, because, like, Infamous, me hardcore. I hate spoilers when people even go back and data mine the shit in Destiny and, oh, this is what's coming, we're getting this next. Shut up, I want to do... Oh, this is how you... Shut up, you're ruining the game. And, like, if you go into a game or you just hear someone else talk about it and have the opinion, like, oh, that's going to suck, then it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But you said you had a question before Infamous went ahead and asked those questions. Gus, what was the question you had?
Oh, one of the videos I did watch was, like, shocking moments. Okay. And, like, what did y'all think of how they... put the thrill factor in with the shocking moments?
Oh man, the tense moments in the game.
Do you have
any
moments in particular that you could think of, or?
like one, like the big one when they walked in and they shotgun his leg, and it's like, what the fuck, out of nowhere.
The
Like,
moment that made everyone punch their TVs.
yeah, but like even that, like there's like other like I can't recall the exact ones because like I tried to cram a bunch of videos in, so I wouldn't sound like a total dumbass, just a partial dumbass. But like when they're adventuring and even the infected would pop out of nowhere and come at you, versus like the way they were describing it, like instead of a normal encounter, it's like out of nowhere, bam, like 30 of them on you.
I will say there's a oh man.
Like,
There's
do
a
y'all
moment
care for
towards
that? Is
the
it like ruining the experience? Is it like, do you think they focused enough on the infected and the survival versus you killed my father, prepare to die?
I don't think they
Revenge,
focused
revenge, revenge versus survive, survive, survive.
I don't think they focused enough on the infected. I feel like they were just sort of a side enemy in the game rather than the main threat where it was in the first game. But I don't know, Infamous, you share a couple moments and then I'll get to mine.
Well, there were parts in the game. Two parts come to mind were really good infected sections. So as I'm trying to think, I think we were Abby, and you're going through a skyscraper with Lev. The hospital too.
Yeah.
The hospital and the skyscraper. The dilapidated, where a lot of the floors were gone, and you're like balancing on beams, or you're looking over the edge of the floor, and there are infected that come out of the wall. Like they're stuck in the wall and they look like they're dead. And the first couple times that caught me pretty good. It scared the shit out of me. Those are really tense. That they actually reminded me of this game franchise I used to love called Dead Space. They had that vibe to it, especially when I got the flamethrower, because that was a weapon you had in Dead Space.
That space was good.
I'm trying to think with Ellie. With Ellie, probably the most tense one with the infected was when you're running from the WLF from the TV station, and you're down in the subway section.
The Shammers?
The Shamblers. The Shamblers, yeah.
Shamblers, there you go.
And you're going down through that whole section. It's pretty intense down there. And I thought the infected were well represented. I thought there was a good mix of the two. And actually, that subway section and a couple other sections, maybe 2 or 3, I was able to turn the infected against the human enemies. Like, for instance, down in that subway section, my best method, even on my second playthrough I did this, was to just throw a bottle or a brick or one of those smoke bombs that you can throw that make loud noise, and that would get the infected all riled up, and then they would go and start fighting all of the WLF, and you would just pick off the survivors after it's all over. And it was funny to see the WLF running around like crazy with like chickens with their head cut off, running from the infected.
That begs another question about how you felt the AI was programmed for the game. Whether or not you thought the AI was buggy, or you felt like the AI was smart enough to bring actual joyful entertainment into the game, just based off of their movements, how they react to things, their dialogue. Just overall, if you thought they had a good AI for the, I'm going to call them trash mobs, because you kill them pretty easily in the game.
At times they were challenging, and at times they were easy. And I played it on moderate, which is the middle difficulty, and then I always play a game for the first time on like a middle difficulty or an easier difficulty, just to take in the game and the environment and enjoy it. If I like it, then I'll go replay it on harder difficulties to try to get like the platinum trophy and whatnot. I thought they were challenging at times and other times easy. I saw a review where a guy was saying, "Oh, I could just go." Two excuses, or two negative things he said, that he couldn't sneak past an entire section if he wanted to get all the collectibles, he had to kill everyone there, and he viewed that as a negative because it grated against the way Ellie acted in the cutscenes and acted like she didn't want to kill, and like she was kind of like bothered by it. But then you had to kill all these other people in order to get all the collectibles and all that stuff. And, you know, for me, I don't know if I could do it because I didn't try to do it in Part 2, but in Part 1 on the highest difficulties where you had very little ammo and all and supplies and everything, I snuck through whole sections without fighting anyone. And then, what was another complaint he had, was how you could just go sneak up to people and choke them out or stab them with your knife every time. Like, you could just go through the whole game doing that, and he got sick and tired of doing that. I didn't have that experience. I mean, I stealthed a few people here and there like that, and infected as well, but a lot of times I would choose to use my weapon, or I would lure a lot of the infected in with making noise with a brick and or a bottle or something, and then kill them with Molotovs. You know, kill them in a nice grouping. There were sometimes
where I
was
realistic.
Well, for realism, for the infected, sometimes I would be trying to stealth my way through an area. I'd get spotted, all hell would break loose. A couple times I died from that, and a couple times I would burn through a bunch of ammo and supplies and stuff to try to survive it. And then with the human enemies, they flank you pretty good, pretty effectively. Like, I was looking at the ones down the hall, and then all of a sudden I'm getting shot from my right or my left. You know? Like, they do... Sometimes they're erratic, but sometimes they are very good at getting around you and making you have to flush you out of cover and stuff. And the scars, or seraphites, depending on what you want to call them, Jesus, that was creepy as hell the first time I came up against them. And you're crawling around in all the leaves and the bushes and stuff, and they're whistling. You don't hear them doing call-outs, they're just whistling to each other. It is so creepy. And he gets shot with that arrow, and you gotta pull it out, and you're bleeding every time when you get hit with that thing. That was cool. That was creative. That was unique gameplay that was different than fighting any other enemy in the game, you know what I mean? I enjoyed that. I don't know if you had this experience. It seemed like it consistently took more than one arrow if I used my bow to take them down, too. Like they were wearing some kind of armor underneath their robes, or they were just stronger because they were cultists.
One bow headshots.
Well, I'm not talking headshots, I'm talking body shots. Because a lot of times I wouldn't go for a headshot because I wouldn't want to risk missing the shot and then, you know, have to get discovered or whatever. So a lot of times I would go for the body shot. But they were pretty intense. Go ahead.
I went through that whole game stealth. I was playing on the obviously the hardest difficulty because I'm one of those gamers. I like to punish myself. Fucking fun. Went through the whole game stealth, except for the few sections where you're forced to run and shoot, and you die on those 40, 50 times because you're bad at the game. But
see, that ruins a game for me when I do that, though. If I play through it on the hardest difficulty right out the gate, and I'm trying to find every collectible and just play through on the hardest difficulty, so I get that, you know, and there isn't even a trophy for that on this one. I don't know if you realize that.
No, there's no trophy.
You can get frustrated at your struggle with the game itself, and that will grate against your enjoyment of the story and of the atmosphere and of the general gameplay. For me, anyway, that's the way I look at it. Yeah. So that's why I always go on an easier difficulty first, and then if I like it enough to try to go after all the achievements, then I go for the hardest. Like, Dead Space 3, you had to play through the entire game without dying. You died once and erased your save.
Yeah, so the hardest difficulty is the best for that. It's the most realistic experience for me.
Some people like that abuse, like Dark Souls.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what you're into, hey.
All the Dark Souls.
I'm intrigued at the fact that you have a lot of negative things to say, but you're still like, yes, the game was. I'm glad I bought it. It was a good purchase. That's interesting.
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, I really enjoyed the gameplay, and the biggest thing for me about a game, especially in the age of DLCs and
oh god,
and microtransactions, It
That's
feels
another
like
discussion for another
it
night.
feels like a complete game. It doesn't feel like they half-assed the game and was like, well, you'll get the rest of the story 6 months from now. We
Mm-hmm.
got everything. And for me, that's a win, especially nowadays.
Agreed.
There's a lot of things I didn't like about Abby herself, but the characters she interacted with on her side of the story, I will say, I liked a lot. I liked Owen for the most part, especially like Yara and Lev when they were introduced. They were very lively characters, and I enjoyed them. I enjoyed her circle of friends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just Abby herself wasn't doing it for me.
Understandable. I had a
You
question I
know, it
was going to
was
ask.
for Abby. It's more so everybody else that made her story more believable and fun than just Abby and her motives altogether.
Hmm.
Sorry, you had a question?
I lost it. I'm trying to think of it. What I was going
Alright.
to ask.
As far as exploration goes, exploration was great. While you think of your question.
Yeah.
I enjoyed exploring as Ellie. Obviously didn't explore everything because I kind of rushed through the game so I could be knowledgeable for this podcast. But
Oh, that was what I was going
the
to ask you.
ability.
Sorry to
Go
cut you
ahead.
off. I don't want to forget it again. How
Yeah, go
long
ahead.
did it take you to beat it, roughly? Do you know?
Let's see. I was up 16 hours. Just trying to map out what route I was going to take for the first 8 hours, and then the next 8 hours, I just rushed through the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
So,
just was thinking about what I would collect, and um, if I was going to sneak the whole game or go guns blazing the whole game, and I was just sort of plotting and planning what I would do as I went through it.
so when you look at your save file, it says 8 hours or 16?
When I look at my save file, it says 8 hours, 23 minutes.
Good God, man. Do you want to know what my save file size is? The
I'm
hours?
kind of scared. Go
Take a
ahead.
guess. Take a guess.
72 hours.
No, good God, man. Come on.
40
48.
hours.
Guts is closer. It
48
was
hours.
just over 30 hours, and I'm about 9 hours in on my second playthrough. And I'm at the
My.
theater right now. We just got done at the Dinosaur Museum. 30 hours because I took my time. I did try to get as much supplies as I could and upgrades on my weapons and my skill trees and look for as many collectibles as I could. Like, I'm the kind of player that if there's a main story in the mission, like let's say Infamous, the game series, or even Destiny or whatever, any kind of story where there's a main mission, but there's this little side stuff you can just go off to the side and do to make your character stronger before you go do the next main story mission. I do all the little side things first, get my character as powered up as I can. I found all the little side missions are exhausted, then I go do the next story mission. I've done that story mission. If there's more new side stuff popped up, I go do the side stuff first, then I go back to the main story. That's the
You
way
sound like
I
a
play games.
thoroughbred RPG.
That's just how I enjoy it and how I like to digest it. So it took me 30
That's a great way
hours,
to do it. Yeah.
and I feel like I got a full experience of the game. I've seen a lot of the world and taken in a lot of stuff, and I thoroughly enjoyed my journey.
Oh yeah, right. But that's what I was saying. Exploration. Exploration's rewarding. If anybody's uh listening, the game will cut you out from getting things if you skip exploration. You can miss holsters, upgrade magazines, and all things of the sort. And for me, that kind of cuts into my gaming experience just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't leave one area and then never be able to return. I mean, I know they have the chapter select and everything when you're playing the story, but sort of like when they have like the fuck Fedra gate. Once you get past the fuck Fedra gate, that whole area is locked off.
Yeah. So you don't like
You've
the
missed
fact?
everything.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I did that in one section of the game. I ran past a bunch of enemies because shit just got crazy, and I'm just like, alright, I'm just gonna haul ass. And then I hopped over this one gate, and I'm like, oh man, I can't go back. That's what you're saying, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I can see a complaint for that.
I find that funny right now, though, because Infamous took his time. You rushed through faster, but yet he jumped over and missed the area, and you didn't.
Well, there's something you guys don't know about me is that I'm very, very deep into speed running. So when you get the map in Seattle Part 1 with Ellie, you can sort of map out where you want to go and what's the quickest route. And if you're fast enough, you can 100% that area in about 30 minutes or so, and then move on. You know,
Yeah, I just explored just to try. Like, I didn't look at any... Like, I didn't know what buildings I could even explore, what buildings I couldn't. You know, there was even some blown up buildings where there was, like, nothing left of the building that still had supplies on them.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you missed any of that or not.
Oh, I missed probably a ton of it. Again, I was trying to rush to get the game done.
Yeah.
And at that point, it didn't bother me because I was like, all right, I got this podcast coming up. I don't want to sound like a fucking dumbass. I have to know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, it's just going to be real one-sided conversation with Infamous, and I don't want to disappoint him, so...
I'm sorry I had a negative impact on your ability to enjoy the game, but you, being that you're a speedrunner, you probably would have done something similar regardless, wouldn't you have? Or would you have played more like me?
No, my first playthrough of the game, I would have played through on hard. I would have explored every corner because that is also how I like to enjoy my first playthrough of a game.
Okay.
But overall, my gameplay experience wasn't... Still enjoy it. You still have your moments of surprise, like Abby in the hospital when that, whatever the fuck it was, burst through the wall to get you...
Oh god, that thing,
disturbing.
there's... Yeah. You know what it reminded me of, now that you're saying so many arms and legs? The thing from The Thing. The John Carpenter movie, man. Or even the Leviathan. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, Leviathan. It just with guts. It was like a mishmash of bodies just clustered together.
See, I'm wondering why they didn't have that one in the video I watched of the, like, scary moments or the shocking moments. Like, that sounds like it'd be fucking terrifying.
Bro, when the clicker fucking came out of its body to attack you, I was nah.
Yeah. It separated into two things, and one ran off. And
No, that motherfucker had to die now.
I focused on the big one. The little one ran off, and then I got the little one later on. After the big one was dead. But that thing, man, I was pouring so much ammo and bombs and Molotovs into it. It's like, what is going to kill this thing? Jesus. I was beginning to think I was wasting my ammo, and you couldn't kill it.
I ended up killing mine with a pistol shot.
That's what finished it off?
Yeah, that's all I had left. I had one bullet left.
Wow.
Then it was fist, and I think it one shot kills you. I don't know. I haven't died to it, but
I think it is.
I think it's a one shot kill.
I can't remember if I died to it or not, but I think it's like a bloater. I died to a bloater in this game, and in part 1 I died to a bloater before, where it just grabs you and rips your head apart, man.
Especially the animation of part 1, kind of like rips your jaw from your head off.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. When I was in the lodge with Ellie and Joel, that part where they're clearing that that lodge or that hotel, whatever you want to call it.
Hotel.
The bloater got me there. I was just fixing to throw a molly at it, and I didn't realize where he was, and he closed the distance on me.
I wish they would have had more shamblers in the game, man. I really love that enemy type.
Yeah, what'd you think about the dogs? While we're talking about enemy types.
Be more specific. What do you mean? What do I think about the dogs?
Okay, were they challenging, and did you have any problem killing the dogs?
I have no
Or
problem killing animals in video games.
okay,
It sounds kind of cool to me. I would never kill a dog in real life. It's a fucking game. It's an obstacle. It needs to go.
mm-hmm.
I'll probably get some shit for that, but it's a fucking
I
game.
mean, it's fantasy. It's not real. It shouldn't be a big issue of, oh my god, you would fucking do that in real life. You're a monster.
The first time you meet the dogs in the game, you're kind of forced to kill them. Like, there's no way ever, just like 4 or 5 of them in that tiny ass area. What are you supposed to do? And then they all follow your scent. Fuck that.
Yeah.
They gotta die. And then at the end of Ellie's section, before you kill Owen and Mel, you gotta kill Alicia anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the way, it's a game. Do you feel like you shouldn't have killed the dogs in the game?
I don't. I've seen in reviews where people do. They were like, oh, they even made a point to say how they thought it was messed up that Abby got to pet the dogs the whole time and be nice to the dogs, so therefore Abby is good, the game's trying to tell you. But Ellie has to kill all the dogs, so therefore Ellie is bad. Like, trying to further make their case for why the game was trying to shove down everyone's throat. Ellie bad, Abby good. You should feel bad for Abby. You know what I mean? That's one of the justifications, one of the ways they were trying to say that it was poor writing.
Were scared of the dogs too, though.
Uh-huh.
They trained the dogs to attack their enemies.
I mean, for me, anybody Ellie killed and anyone Abby killed, for the most part, besides Joel, obviously, and besides Abby's friends that Ellie went and, trying to find Abby's location, anybody else was just collateral damage. If she could have snuck by and avoided the fights with them, she would have, but they didn't give her a choice. They were killing people on sight. She even mentions that several times, that, they just kill us on sight.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it didn't... As far as back to the dogs, before we get too far away from that, I wanted to mention that the dogs, I felt, were a refreshing mechanic in the fact that, people were complaining that it was too easy to stealth the human enemies or the infected. This was neat because you had to, like... I don't know if you saw this, Guts, in the videos you watched. They could actually pick up your smell. Like, if you did your listening mode, you could see a trail that you left behind of your scent, and the dog would start to follow the trail and lead the person that's with the dog, like their trainer or whatever, like the canine unit type enemy, right to you. And then you're out of stealth now. Everybody knows where you are, and you got all these enemies coming after you. So it was neat, I thought.
I hated that first section. I hated it so much. I loved it because it was challenging, but like I got sniffed out so many fucking times.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
The enemies feel like they move super fast on hard, man.
Oh right, because you're playing on harder difficulty too.
And like the dog's nose just doesn't lie, man. It follows you everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's barely any verticality on that first encounter, and it's just, well, I had to kill everybody.
What I found, now obviously you didn't have as much ammo or supplies as I did because you were on a harder difficulty. What I found was a good tactic to deal with the dogs. I would take out the owner, and then the dog stops. Like, especially if you take it out with like a bow, like a stealth weapon or whatever, yeah. The dog will stop and like look at the owner and be like, "Oh no, what happened to my owner?" You know what I mean? And then while it's milling around trying to figure out what to do, what happened to its owner, you could take out the dog with the next arrow or whatever, But if you take out the dog first, then the owner like freaks out.
Learned that the hard fucking way.
Mm-hmm.
I would take out the owner and I would hear a whimper, but I had just assumed that the dog would like start chasing me, cause there's no owner, so you've pretty much given away your location. But no, the dogs were a cool mechanic. They were a nice substitute for the clickers.
Yeah.
Instead of sound, it's smell, and It was enjoyable. I enjoyed their mechanics. I
Cool.
enjoyed them quite a bit.
I'm going to take a moment and hit the share button to record this first hour or so, just in case anything goes wrong with the live version of it and I decide to upload
Alright.
this separately. So hold on one second, anybody that's watching.
Um,
Okay. Alright, that's recorded.
I enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed the game. I didn't care too much for the story, but the gameplay overall was great.
So gameplay, mechanics, and all that
Love
stuff
the
was
AI.
good. Just the...
I love the redesign for the infected. They looked way more creepy this time. Like, I don't know. There's not a ton for me to complain about when it comes to this game. At this point, I'd just be nitpicking. You know, there were a lot of great things. I love the gun mechanics. I love that they had weight to the shots. I love that you had so many options in terms of how to take out your enemies. You know, it wasn't just gun blazing or stealth in this direction. I love the fact that it wasn't super linear like the first game. You know, and I honestly feel like a lot of the complaints people have about this game are just nitpicking.
Yeah.
Especially with the introduction of gay characters and like coming out and whatnot and things like that. I feel like that's a huge nitpick right there.
Yeah, there are people that have a problem with, and like a guy was even doing a review and saying, you know, I have nothing against people in the gay community, LGBTQ, whatever, like all that stuff. But then he immediately started to talk about how Abby looked trans something and talking about Lev. You know, I'm still unclear as to whether Lev was a boy trying to transform into a girl or vice versa. But
Lev was female and he felt like a boy at heart.
and they were trying to
And
force
that's
him
why she
to
shaved.
marry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but a friend told me it was the opposite. That it was a boy trying to be a girl or whatever. Like, I don't know. There's some confusion in way people are interpreting that. But either way, it didn't bother me. I just knew Lev was being persecuted, was lashing out against it, and, you know, and that's what brought on the turmoil or whatever, the pushback from the rest of his people.
As far as Abby goes, I think Abby was originally supposed to be a male character, and then they decided that she would be a female character. And a lot of the male character designs sort of transferred over into the quick version of the female character he was supposed to be, and she ended up looking trans, and that's how that happened. But they decided to leave that in the game because whatever.
You think they had most of the game made and the character model already made as a man, and they just kind of stuck a female's head on it and stuff? That's what you think?
Her original design was supposed to be a male character.
Where'd you hear that from?
Something one of the developers said in an article I was reading. Same article I found out what her role in the game was supposed to be and everything. I gotta send that to you at some point.
Uh-huh.
I have it saved, but yeah, she wasn't meant to be that character model, and the devs had played around with the idea of a trans being in the game anyway, so they just decided to leave it that way.
Huh. See, I guess I don't know if it's me being naive or easy to fool or anything. Like, I just immediately bought into the fact that, okay, this is a girl who from childhood has decided she's going after Joel, right? So she transformed into, you know, like I said before, with the use of the oh god, I already alerted them. The with the gym and everything, working out and everything, became what she needed to be. Yeah.
When she's talking to Owen a lot of the time in her flashback, she's like, I can't miss training. Training's happening tonight. It's late. I gotta go back to training. And her sole motivation is finding Joel. Her father's killer.
Right.
I need some water. But yeah, I said Abby. Oh, Abby just didn't do it for me. She felt like a character that was put in there, put in the place where she didn't belong. She's just sort of introduced and she kills your favorite character, and I can understand people being upset by that.
Yeah.
We don't know who she is, what she wants, why she wants it, and she's just sort of there. And like I said earlier, if they had introduced her as a main character moving forward with the story, rather than just throwing her in there and explaining her motive to us at first instead of in the reverse, I think I would have liked her a little bit more.
I'm getting a little distracted with the gameplay. I wanted to have gameplay while we were talking. And I'm struggling.
Yeah, no,
right
I'm seeing
now.
it. I'm looking at you, crawling.
Dude, I was trying to be all like slick and stealth and everything, and because we're talking and everything, like I got spotted, and now shit's like going off. It's popping off.
Holy shit, we're already an hour into this.
Yep.
Hell yeah. That's dope. I didn't even feel like I was talking for that long.
Oh shit.
Speaking of gameplay here, the bow mechanics. Do you feel like the bow was too accurate?
It's too accurate?
Yeah.
No.
I've never dropped a headshot with the bow.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe you're just good with it.
I'm good with a bow in Destiny, so I guess. Well, that's Destiny.
I don't really like the bow in Destiny all that much.
You and a lot of people share that sentiment.
Yeah. There was a time during what was the expansion where they came out, Forsaken, that I really liked them, and then I just kind of got away from them. I'm largely influenced by whatever the artifact can use for the season. I just missed with a bow there. There we go. I think I got them all for this area. Alright, now I can focus more on what the hell we're talking about. I got through that area.
Must play game.
Yeah.
Must play.
It shifted my focus. Alright. Trying to remember
the character designs, by the way?
Yeah. You mean like the actual character models?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with them at all. Do you
There
have...
are a lot of places that are like, oh, Ellie looks so much like a, and this is other people saying here, don't mess me up there, YouTube. It was like, oh, Ellie looks like a dyke, and like,
Really?
she just looks like the man of a woman relationship, and yeah.
Wow.
And it's I don't know, it's weird to me. I'm like, Ellie looks like an older, hardened Ellie.
Yeah. I don't see that at all.
I also felt like everybody had the same backpack in this game. That's just me, but...
Ellie's got all of her little trinkets on it. Like, if you look at her right now in the gameplay I'm looking at, she's even got the pin on the back of it from when she went to the museum with Joel, right?
Yep.
And then if you look at earlier gameplay where she, like, for instance, in the flashback where she's with Joel, she's got, like, the little kid charms hanging off of it and stuff that she had from the first game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it does change. So I don't know if I would agree with you there about, like, it being the same.
So I feel like everybody has the same type of backpack. Like, everybody has, like, these hiking packs that can hold, like, 40,000 different things on it.
I think a lot of that can be explained away because video game. You know what I mean? Like, at least we don't have these imaginary pockets that can hold all these things. At least we have, like, a backpack, and you can get holsters so you can hold more weapons, you know, and one goes in your waistband, and one goes on your backpack, and all that stuff. It's not just pulling it out of these pockets, and you're like, where do you get a bazooka from, you know? He's pulling it out of his ass. Hell.
You gonna tell me that would not be awesome if you could pull out a fucking bazooka as Ellie in this game?
Oh, that brings me to another subject. People were talking about they felt like Abby got the better selection of weapons. They saved all Angry Joe's review really threw that out. He showed other Joe sitting there playing as Ellie, right? And then I forget the other guy's name that's in a lot of his content too, was there playing the part of Abby, and he's acting like he's the developer, and he's like, all right, Abby, you take this, and you take this, and you know what, why don't you have that too? And Ellie's like, what do I get? Shut up, Ellie, you get nothing. You get nothing, and you'll like it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm right now, like, I'm on the second playthrough, so when you're on the second playthrough, as soon as you reach Seattle, you get all the weapons and all the upgrades and everything that you had from your last playthrough. I've got the SMG, or MP5, or whatever this is, the silenced one, as Ellie. I've got the hunting rifle, I've got the shotgun, I've got the bow, and I've got the Joel's gun and her gun. And I use her gun is silenced, because you can put the silencer on it, which is awesome. One headshot, you know what I mean? You can take enemies out, and you're silenced. And then I like to use the MP5, or whatever that is, and the bow for on the other side of the loadout for stealth stuff. And then I go to the shotgun and the long rifle and stuff if shit gets hairy. You know what I mean?
You get like 3 different sidearms in the game, I believe, and I think 4 or 5 different long weapons as Ellie.
And then Abby, what is the only difference you give? I mean, she has a different long rifle.
She gets the crossbow. I mean,
yeah, instead of a bow,
that's
she
the
gets
only
a crossbow.
thing I guess that's cooler.
Flamethrower.
I wouldn't say her. I wouldn't say her ammo selection is better.
Mm-hmm.
But you also got to keep in mind, like, the WLF is sort of militarized, so it would make sense that she would have a more militarized arsenal than Ellie, who's scavenged her weapons off of people.
Yeah, thematically it makes sense why there's a difference.
But I kind of like Ellie's weapons better. They feel less clunky to me. And again, it feels like the weapons hold more weight. Like when you shoot, it feels like you're shooting a gun.
Yeah.
With Abby's weapons, especially her the long rifle she starts with, it feels like you tap it and it has no pull to it. It feels like you're sort of just shooting it and it's just tap 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 tap. And
like a 22 or something where it just has no
recoil.
recoil. Yeah. You know you could upgrade that to a burst fire too. Did you do that?
I did not. I didn't upgrade anything.
Yeah, because you just ran through the game with whatever, yeah. Yeah, when you upgrade that one for damage, it becomes a burst fire. I don't know, I felt like they both had a pretty good selection of weapons. Guts, now that you're back, I don't know what you guys want to talk about while I'm gone for a second, but I gotta step away really briefly. Nature is calling, and unfortunately, I thought I could make it a couple hours through a podcast, but my body is betraying me.
Oh,
You can't make it through a raid without peeing.
Yeah, I know, right? We're in a raid. Make it through one encounter. Pee break, guys. Everybody smoke. Pee if you gotta, you know. I'll be back in a second. Anybody that's watching, stand by. Be right there.
Oh man, that's me right there. I can't make it through a raid without.
I mean, I don't blame him, but like he was like, I'm gonna make sure I go before the cast, and I'm gonna like make it through the whole cast without having to use the restroom and stuff. And I'm like, a 2-hour raid or a 4-hour podcast, and you're gonna hold it the entire time, and we take 8 bathroom breaks in the raid. I'm not trying to insult him, but like, it's not gonna happen.
That's me. Like I can't say nothing. I'll be sitting there halfway through the raid, bouncing up and down in my chair.
I ain't gonna fucking make myself hold it that long. Kill my goddamn prostate, man.
But you know, I don't blame him.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, you haven't played through the game. Based off of what we're saying, would you buy the game? Would you play it?
I would honestly say I would. Like I really want to play it, but I'm out of work because I hurt my back. So it's just my wife's income, and right now it's like, don't buy new games, save for that PS5. Like, you know, every video game is a big setback towards that right now.
I feel you. Did they even release a number for the P5 yet, or are we still waiting on that?
It's unconfirmed.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
Alright, I'm going to edit that part out later, so I hope you didn't say anything good. No, I'm just going, what?
No, he was asking me that, you know, based on what I've heard, do I want to buy it? Would I want to buy it? It's like, I do want to play it. I do want to buy it. And I explained the whole fact, you know, I'm out of work. So, like, everything extra is going towards saving for my PS5 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a $60 video game here, a $60 video game there. It's like, those are big setbacks on that saving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that. But you would want to play it, that's the point.
Oh, yeah.
And not
I
letting
haven't
me,
seen anything on the videos I've watched that would make me go, oh man, fuck that game. That's just... I don't ever want to have to see that. Like, I don't care about the fact that characters are gay. I don't care about, oh, there's animals that are going to die. I mean, I love playing Skyrim and hunting deer and bear and shit all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's a big deal. And, like, people who make a huge deal out of that kind of stuff, I don't understand. Like, it's a video game. Just enjoy it. It's not supposed to be an, oh my god, PETA's gonna... They're not running out after playing the game and slaughtering dogs in droves because you killed me in The Last of Us.
There's always been some negative connotation between video games and violence. So, you saying that... There's probably some parents out there that's like, well, he killed the dog in a video game. I guess he's gonna go to a dog kennel and shoot somebody because he did it in The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
To me, any good art, movies, music, video games creates conversation. You know? It creates debate. And this is sure as shit doing that. And so did part 1. The end of part 1, and just even the game in itself, not just the first part, or not just the ending, created a lot of back and forth discussions amongst people as to how they felt about it. You know?
Speaking of part 1,
what?
People sort of glorify this game, and The Last of Us was definitely good. I'm not putting it down, but people make the game sound like it was like the best game of the decade. It certainly isn't. I love the first game, don't get me wrong, but you think nostalgia is playing a bit of a part in how people are feeling about The Last of Us Part 2?
Definitely.
In my opinion, I don't know if it's factoring into how they feel about it. I might get in. I could explain more on that in a second. But as far as how I feel about it, about part 1, I'm the kind of person where if I don't like the game, I'll put it down. I'll never touch it again. If I like it enough, I'll go and I'll platinum it. You got me for the sequel. I'm buying the sequel. You got me for any DLC if you have any DLC coming out.
The loyalty factor.
Yeah. With The Last of Us 1, I platinumed it. I played the multiplayer with my friends. I still play the multiplayer once in a great while with my buddy who still plays it on a regular basis to this day. I actually replayed the story knowing that 2 was coming, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to get it or not. My kid that I game share with got it, so I was able to get it and play it. When I replayed part 1, I didn't have internet for like a week, and I replayed it, and I enjoyed it again for like the 5th or 6th time, because I played it on PS3, that's where I platinumed it, and then on PS4, when I bought it, the remastered, I bought it just for the multiplayer, and also to replay it once with the better graphics and see it and everything. And I think Naughty Dog is just one of the most talented game studios out there, and I love everything that they've ever made that I've ever played. Now, I love Uncharted 3 more than I like any of the other... Or, no, I'm sorry, not Uncharted 3. No, not 2. I like 3 better than 2. I know it's a very controversial opinion. I don't know how much I like 4 compared to 3, though. I think they're pretty close to each other. Another one, too, was the... what was the DLC where you played as... What's her face?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the 2 girls.
Yeah,
I can't...
Chloe,
yeah, Chloe and... whatever her name was. Anyway,
the other one.
Yeah, I can't think of her name. She was Nadine.
Very important character.
Nadine. But no, but
Nadine.
the reason that her name was a little harder to remember is because she was a side character in Uncharted 4 that became a main character for Uncharted Lost Legacy. That's why it was a little like, okay, wait a minute, what was her name? You know what I mean? I don't know.
A lot of people have said that The Last of Us Part 2 is just Uncharted, but The Last of Us.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't think that. I really feel like it's its own thing, and it's really, really good. I enjoyed it a lot. Last of Us 1, if I were to give it a number, like out of 10, I would say The Last of Us 1 was a 10 out of 10 game. Like, I really can't think of anything in Part 1 that I would say is a negative. My buddy Joe would say, you know, he thinks the mechanics weren't the greatest. And that kind of stuff. He's like, it really wasn't all that good. For him, it was the story that he liked the most on Part 1.
So you don't feel like it's nostalgia boosting the game up for you?
I mean,
you just
I don't think it's
genuinely...
I don't think it's nostalgia. I think it's more like, okay, what Guts was saying earlier. I fell in love with these characters in Part 1, and now you're killing off, especially Joel. You know what I mean? Which was the one you played the majority of the time in Part 1. So you're killing him in Part 2, and I'm mad about it. There was no way they were going to be able to kill Joel. No matter how he died, people were going to be mad about it. And then if you make me play as the person that killed him, nope, I don't want to do no part of that. I want to kill that person. I don't want to play as that person. You know?
See, I think people would have been less mad if Joel died protecting Ellie. Instead, he died because of stupidity.
A moment of weakness, a moment of, you know, oh shit, I let my guard down. You know, I let my guard down. I've been in a situation for too long where I felt safe and where I stopped keeping my guard up all the time. I think that's more accurate in my opinion. I said this to my buddy Joe that I keep bringing up. Let me go to where I wrote what I said to him, because I want to say it exactly. I sent him the video of Neil Druckmann, Troy Baker, and Ashley Johnson's interview on Kinda Funny Games, and where they were talking about how they made the game and how they felt about their own creation, and how Troy Baker was saying, I literally am Joel, and I'm fine with the way Joel died, so who are you to tell me that he would have done something different, or he didn't deserve to die that way, or something. And my buddy said to me, I saw the video, I saw the interview, but they didn't explain why the game is so bad. And I said to him, being bad is an opinion, not a fact. It was a fact, and everyone would agree it was bad, like Aliens, Colonial Marines on launch day, Anthem, No Man's Sky. All those games bombed universally. Everyone felt like, oh my god, this is shit. Right? For multiple reasons. But to expect them to tell you why you have the opinion that it's bad, how could they? That'd be like you wanting an ice cream company to explain to you why you don't like a certain flavor, or how you and me and him have drastically different tastes in cars on Grand Theft Auto. Different people have different tastes. You know, they like different things and respond to things differently. You know what I mean? It's an opinion. Yep. It's not... This game is not a busted game. It's not a broken game. It's not an ugly game. It's not... Story being bad... I mean, there's movies I've watched or shows I've watched where really bad dialogue, or like... You know, for me anyway, when I look at the new Star Wars trilogy, right? I liked Force Awakens. I thought that was pretty good. When I saw Leia fly out of back into the ship on whatever the second one was called, I lost it. I'm like, no, I'm just done. No, like
The Last Jedi.
yeah, it's just no.
What? What?
When she got
Leia was
blown out of the
powerful with the Force.
see now you're getting that from outside of the movies, right?
Yeah, well, I'm a Star Wars fanboy.
Right.
I read the comics, I read the novels,
See,
I
but you can't
watch all
just
of the shows, and
but you can't just assume that someone who's watching the new series has watched all that and knows all that. You have to assume, okay, maybe they've seen the old movies and that's it. You know what I mean? If you're a fan of the original
people don't
trilogy.
know that Leia trained with Luke as an actual Jedi and learned how to use the Force and all of that.
Exactly.
I understand.
So when I see her, like, and we've never seen any Jedi do something that, crazy.
Crazy.
And to see her in the original movies, or
not in the original movies, but in one of the cartoon series, it shows a couple of Jedi Masters who
You're
can
going
breathe
to
in
the
space and protect
expanded.
themselves from the void of space.
You gotta give up the idea that everything outside of the 9 movies everyone's seen. Just watching those 9 movies, it's shit you've never seen before.
You can't include the expanded universe in something like that.
But I'm just saying, it's like you gotta have something for the fans too.
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong arrow here.
That's all I'm saying. But yeah, everybody has their own individual taste. I understand. You didn't like that. Some people was like, "Oh yeah, that's perfectly canon." I get it.
Back to The Last of Us though. How did we? Oh, where he said they didn't explain why it's trash. Trash is an opinion, or it's garbage, or it isn't good. It's not a fact in this case. I don't believe. I mean, there is examples like what I gave, where the game is just trash. Or
it doesn't work. The functions, nothing worked. The combat system failed.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a game agreed upon trash. Just not liking it based on your own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this case, other people's opinions, because you didn't buy it or play it.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, he's not even trying it out for himself. He's just, oh, I see these reviews and I see the story leaks and I feel like it's garbage.
It's trash.
Because of that.
I don't know. He needs to play it. I mean, the multiplayer is the only thing that's attracting him to the game, then I'd say don't buy it. It doesn't have a multiplayer. But if you want a story that continues on with The Last of Us, regardless if you like it or not, it does have that story. It is portrayed in a pretty amazing way, and the areas to get from cutscene to cutscene are beautiful and engaging. So, pick it up, buy it.
Yep. Like I said, I haven't even played the first one, and I've seen videos here and there of the first one, and then I've seen the video of the second one, and then I'm hyped to like, God, I want to try this.
It's definitely
You'll have fun.
It's definitely a worthwhile experience. I would buy the first one too before you get the second one and play that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, what do you think?
Wanted to talk about a little bit more about the LGBTQ aspect of the game.
I mean, if either of you have any thoughts one way or another, people are making issues out of it on some reviews and channels. They feel like somebody mentioned Anita Sarkeesian, I think is her name, had a hand in it and had so much influence on it, and that it's pushing a feminist or gay agenda or white or women over men agenda. Like, I don't see that. I think some people are just going to be threatened anytime there's, a powerful woman in any kind of media. Captain Marvel, right? When Captain Marvel in the Avengers series was replaced with a woman, I think that's what he was, right? Captain Marvel, and it became Miss Marvel or whatever. Am I saying the right thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was still Captain Marvel for a little bit.
Still Captain.
Yeah, okay, well, whatever. Like, I even had a little bit of a preconceived notion about that movie because of all the people that were hating on it and telling me, oh, it's garbage because of this, it's garbage because of that. And I didn't watch it for a while. Not because I have a problem with the character being replaced as a woman, just because like I didn't have any pre-attached. I wasn't attached to the character at all before it, so it didn't affect me like that. I just kind of like, oh, well, everybody's hating on it. It's probably garbage. I'm not going to watch it. Then I finally watched it, and it was pretty good. I mean, it was
a good
one
movie.
of the it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best Avenger movie there is, or the best one of the the side movies. I still prefer the Captain America and Iron Man ones. I don't care for the Thor ones that much. But regardless, like, you have to experience something on your own for yourself to really be able to judge it, in my opinion.
Agree.
And I know reviews have a place where people can go and they can look at the review and they can say, okay, is this game worth my time and money? Because I've only got so much time and money to spend, and they can glean something from that. But if it's a game series that you liked the first one so much, give the second one the benefit of the doubt. Like, give it a shot. Like, as long as they're not saying, oh, it's unplayable, it's broken, it's trash, it's the frame rate keeps dipping and you keep falling. I don't know how you kept falling through the map. Maybe you were speed running so fast that the game couldn't render fast enough. I don't know. I didn't experience falling through the map at all.
That's happened a couple times. The game hasn't rendered properly.
That's weird.
Same thing happens to me in Destiny when I'm speedrunning some of the missions. The game will, the textures will pop in and I'll just fall through the map, and it happens.
Wow.
It happens.
What am I
stuck? But I don't have much to say about the whole LGBTQ thing. I'm sort of in agreement with you. The only place I defer is they're gay, so what? Play the fucking game. Who cares?
Does her sexual preference have to do with anything of playing the game?
Yeah, I don't care, like, who people screw on their own time or in a video game or, like, in real life even. Like, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother my enjoyment of real life.
But you're still shooting people with the same gun Joel had. Like, is it because it's in Ellie's hands and she's gay? Does it make the gun gay? Like, people.
I don't. Some people say things like, "Oh, I believe that, marriage is between a man and a woman, and that's it." Like, okay, so then you're a man or you're a woman, then you marry the opposite sex. Why does it bother you that somebody else wants to marry the same sex? It ain't gonna hurt you. It's not going to affect your life in any way. You're making it your business.
This is with the infrastructure, man. This is the principles our country was based off of.
Yeah, people are dumb.
Do what you want as long as you're not hurting someone else or stopping them from being able to do what they want. Being attracted to someone of the same sex violates that in no way. You can't be happy because someone else likes the same sex and you don't. How does what they prefer affect you in any way?
I feel like their misery wants company, so they try to make
and like, forgive the vulgarness. Now, I will admit, if two guys are literally fucking each other on my couch at my house during a party, I'm going to tell them to knock the fuck off. I don't want to see that. Take it to a bedroom or something.
Well, that's different. I mean, in front of you if you don't want to see it.
Exactly, but... Okay, so they're in their home, living together, living like everyone else. It's a bad joke, and I still always laugh at it. Why not let them be fucking married? Let them be miserable like the rest of us.
Yeah.
I say that in playing, because Infamous knows the way me and my wife go back and forth and play with each other, and he knows, I always say I gotta keep her.
Well, love is a complicated thing, man. Y'all can hate each other, still love each other forever. A lot of people won't understand that.
Well, it's just like I always tell my wife, like, when she's like, oh yeah, what did it cost you? It's like, I'll hold up my wedding ring in my hand and go, my soul.
Being said,
and then I'll get, smacked in the arm and get told to fuck you or something, and then she'll bring me a cold drink 5 minutes later because I don't want to be bothered to go walk out and quit playing my game.
And at the sake of his dignity. I don't know. I don't have anything more really much to add to the discussion about The Last of Us 2. Period. It's a great game. Go ahead and buy it. I hate Abby.
I'm Team Abby. I like Abby. Yeah, I think we could pretty much wrap it up there. We were hoping to have more people on and more guests to have a little more back and forth. Maybe the next episode, I'm not sure what the topic will be yet. We can get some more people in and have even more discussion. But we're an hour and a half in. That's pretty good for our first episode, I feel like.
Especially with only 3 people.
Yeah. In the future, hopefully, we'll have some interaction with the chat, too. Maybe people will get on the live chat, and we can maybe even do questions at the end of each episode and stuff.
Yeah. Have someone monitor. Well, we can even have someone monitor it, and if they bring up a good point or ask a good question, we can bring it up for them.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching this after it's been live streamed, everybody, feel free to comment down below if you bought part 1, part 2, if you liked them. If you're one of the people that's like boycotting the game, because that was a thing too. And
let us know if we've changed your mind in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one more thing. Just real quick, Infamous, if you don't mind. Hi, I'm Crimson Waters. Go check out some Salty Gamers official tomorrow at 8 p.m. where we're doing a podcast. Also talking about The Last of Us, your favorite gaming music selection. And we always end it on something political or something going on with the world right now. So hope you go over there and enjoy.
Yeah,
Crimson,
absolutely.
do me a favor.
Yes.
Link me it in the PlayStation chat.
Yes.
So I can, I'm so badly ADHD, if I don't look at it, I will forget and never find it. I won't even remember the name tomorrow until you've told me the name 50 times.
Okay.
Alright, everyone.
But I'll go check it out, see what it's about.
I'm going to end the stream now. Thanks for watching. Take care. As soon as I hit the right button. I hit the, yep.